Annually, schools spend millions of dollars to give students the best possible athletic experience.
Studies show that up to 35% of athletes suffer from mental health problems, which can lead to or cause stress, eating disorders, burnout, depression, or anxiety. Mental health has affected athletes both now and throughout history, but has been stigmatized for years and continues to be. Athletes at every level are affected by this issue, and it continues to worsen. Together, we must break the stigma surrounding mental health in student athletes of all levels.
Now, more than ever, the need for collective action is urgent. Athletes across every level are grappling with the intensifying grip of mental health challenges. It's a crisis that demands our attention, empathy, and proactive measures. To truly empower student athletes, we must shatter the lingering stigma surrounding mental health. By uniting in our efforts, we can not only acknowledge but effectively address the worsening state of mental health among student athletes. Together, let's pave a path, the way for a culture that nurtures holistic well-being of athletes, ensuring they thrive both on and off the field.
One thing that can spark the mental health struggle within athletes is injury. Well-known athletes facing injuries can be overlooked and forgotten about just because they are participating from the sidelines. One of the most difficult parts of getting hurt can be the mental side of it rather than the physical part. Going from being a star player to just watching from the sideline can take a huge toll on athletes. They have to suddenly stop playing the sport they love and are used to participating in. Some injuries can also be season or career ending, which takes a lot away from them, and there's nothing they can do about it. An article from Contemporary Pediatrics titled Mental Health Concerns in Student Athletes After Injury: What are the psychological implications when a student athlete can no longer play their chosen sport? Shows the psychological effects of a season or career-ending injury on athletes of all levels. The author, Joshua A., uses an example of a 16-year-old football player who had to put his pads up for the rest of his life after doctors discovered a genetic disorder affecting connective tissue and were forced to operate. 10 months after the major operation, ending his bright football career, the athlete was diagnosed with major depressive disorder.
Also, according to a study done by Contemporary Pediatrics. By contrast, several years earlier, a young collegiate athlete named Morgan Rogers had died by suicide in the same community after a knee injury ended her lacrosse career at Duke University. Sidelined and isolated from teammates, Morgan underwent 12 months to rehabilitative treatment, but felt that her life was no longer under her control. Her signs of depression and anxiety went unnoticed by those around her. Individuals who were not trained to identify indicators, and she went undiagnosed. Due to the stigma surrounding mental health struggles, Morgan did not reach out for help, and the potential effects of her injury went unrecognized. Her death made headlines and deeply affected many communities. This shows just one example of an athlete whose mental health declined and led to suicide due to an injury.
Another cause of the mental health crisis within athletes is the pressure to meet expectations. We talked with D1 recruit Bailey Thompson about her recruiting process, and this is what she had to say.
For the recruiting process for beach volleyball, we really just had to take a lot of initiative. Reach out to coaches, send them film, and then once you get in contact with the coach, you start talking. And then I feel like once you're recruited, a lot of people would think that all the pressure's off, but really it's kind of the opposite, because now you have an expectation, like you have to reach this level. So it can be stressful sometimes, but I feel like if you have good coaches and like a good support system, it's not too bad.
Similarly, men's basketball recruit Trey Manhertz seemed to share these feelings and had this to say about his experience so far.
It's a little bit stressful because you don't know when your opportunities don't come, and some kids get opportunities before you that you think you should have got.
Although these expectations may not be outright stated, there is always a bar that athletes strive to reach. The fear of failure can lead to stress and anxiety. Often, athletes think that they are only seen for their performance or skills rather than what they are as a person. They are also pushed and challenged every day by their peers, coaches, parents, and more. All they want to do is make those people proud and not let anyone down, which can lead to burnout and exhaustion. The amount of time an athlete spends practicing on a weekly basis contributes to their mental health. The strive for perfection leads athletes to feel the need to constantly train, which can lead to overtraining. Creating a balance can also improve this issue.
When we interviewed Green Level High School Athletic Director Colin Fagley, these were his thoughts on creating balance.
Sometimes you just need to like close your laptop, maybe turn off your cell phone, and just kind of like get away from work. And some of the problems that may come up on a week-to-week basis. Try not to sweat the small things. One thing I got taught years ago when I started this job is to like try to control the controllables, right? So focus on what you can control, and the stuff that's outside your control, you just got to kind of set that aside.
From the insight provided by Athletic Director Fagley, we found his message aligned in interview responses when we asked successful high school student athletes at Green Level why or why don't they want to continue to play in college. What we drew was that these high, sometimes uncontrollable expectations can be assumed as well known in the high school athletic community because they were often cited as reasons why somebody wouldn't want to play in college or beyond.
All right, who am I here with today?
Sloan Kessler.
How long have you been playing softball for?
Like 10 years.
Are you trying to play at the collegiate level or beyond?
No.
Why is that?
I just don't really, I'm not really at that level, and I don't want to play in college. I just don't have like a normal college experience.
Who am I here with?
Ryan Kennedy.
How long have you been playing organized sports for?
Probably like 3rd grade.
Are you trying to play at the collegiate level or beyond?
No.
Why not?
I want to have the college experience without having the responsibility of taking on the sport.
Who am I here with today?
You're here with Landon Ung.
How long have you been playing?
About 9 years.
Are you trying to play at the collegiate level or beyond?
No, I'm not.
Why is that?
Because sadly, I'm not good enough for that, so I'm going to focus on my academics.
Relating to pressure and expectations, another cause of that can be social media and an athlete's fan base. The stress and pressure can come from not wanting to disappoint their fans. Sports are a very popular thing that lots of fans like to cheer for and watch, which leads fans to post and talk online where athletes can see what they have to say. Athletes are often exposed to lots of negative comments and criticism online from a variety of people. Those posting this content on social media tend to have a very strong opinion that they are going to honestly share. When people post about sports on social media, it is frequently out of frustration in response to a very recent loss that happened. So they will go and post things while they are still angry, which causes those comments to be even more harsh and aggressive. The fans can be very bipolar depending on their team's performance for that particular competition. This constant criticism can take a toll on the athletes and decrease their confidence, which will lower their performance. As a result of that, it can make them stressed or depressed, which then declines their mental health.
Now, looking at the issue from a comparison view, there are differences between team sport athletes and individual sport athletes. Team sport athletes have teammates to lean on and are constantly surrounded by others. Individual sport athletes don't have those teammates to lean on, and their success depends all on themselves and their performance, leaving them more alone. Therefore, all of the pressure and the outcome falls on them. An article says individual sport athletes can exhibit increased anxiety, not only because of the way they internalize failure, but also their tendency to set intense personal goals for themselves. This shows one effect of individual sports and how they can impact athletes and their mental health. But on the other hand, team sport athletes also have the pressure of being afraid to let their team down. Even though they win as a team and lose as a team, they may feel that an outcome fell more on them than it did others, which can make them feel worse and cause them to feel the need to take the blame. Overall, there are positives and negatives of each.
There are also differences between male and female athletes because they can be affected differently. Female athletes are at a higher risk for mental health issues. Male athletes are also physically built differently than women, so they are naturally stronger and faster, whereas women are not. Due to these natural differences, sports can have different effects and different tolls on the bodies of male versus female athletes. The physical state of your body ties to mental health.
So I trained throughout the week? Yeah, 6. How many hours each day?
Each day, probably on average like 2.5.
We have three hours of practice every day during like weekdays, and I play volleyball.
4 days a week, on average, I would say 3 hours of practice.
One main struggle is balancing school and sports, so it is important that those student athletes stay organized and on top of things to minimize stress. With that, you can look at student athletes versus students. Normally, students have enough work and stress as is, and putting athletics on top of that can leave athletes struggling to balance everything. Playing sports while also being in school is very demanding. Most athletes get up very early in the morning and go to practice and lift each day while also having to go to class in between. This leaves little time for other things such as work and hanging out with friends, which can have a negative effect on them. They could feel like they are missing out on things on their experience.
In an article published by the U.S. Department of Education, it says,
results that nonetheless reported higher levels of wellness than did student athletes. This shows that non-athletes are doing better than those student athletes. Most people may think that student athletes have it good since they get lots of attention and lots of gear until people experience being a student athlete firsthand and see how difficult it can be. Therefore, student athletes shouldn't be underestimated or overlooked. The article also says student athletes represent a unique, clearly identifiable college student subpopulation. Although on one hand they are commonly venerated for their athletic aptitude and success, and on many campuses enjoy celebrity status, on the other hand, this acclaim often obscures the heightened challenges they incur as they attempt to balance the dual roles of student athletes. In addition to managing in many of the same academic, emotional, and personal goals and concerns as their non-athletic peers, student athletes also manage several unique challenges associated with their athletic participation. This shows that people should consider the challenges that come with being part of college sports and not just assume that they have it perfect.
Yes.
No.
Athletes grappling with mental health challenges frequently struggle with the daunting fear of societal judgment, dreading the labels of weak or inadequate that may be unfairly attached. This apprehension becomes a formidable barrier, perpetuating a culture of silence where the struggles of athletes remain concealed and unspoken. Shedding light on this pervasive issue, a comprehensive study conducted by Florida State University titled Student Athletes' Mental Health Help-Seeking Experiences, a Mixed Methodological Approach, delves into the intricate experiences of 6 NCAA Division I athletes navigating the labyrinth of seeking assistance for their mental health concerns using the health belief model.
This research underscores the sad reality. Athletes often find themselves hesitant to help mental health services due to many impediments. Among these obstacles are time constraints stemming from the demanding schedules of both athletic and academic pursuits and the persistent fear of public stigma. The study meticulously unravels the intricate web of challenges, exposing the underutilization of available mental health services among athletes, a concern that has garnered recognition from the NCAA as a pressing issue demanding attention and resolution.
The mental health struggles that student athletes face daily can contribute to other struggles outside of their sport, including in the classroom. The effect of mental health on student athletes is evident to teachers, including Green Level's own Mr. Williams.
When interviewed, this was his response to the question, can you tell if student athletes are more stressed when in season and have more trouble getting work done?
They appear more stressed and they can exhibit those signs. But at this school, not really in terms of getting the work done. I still see most of my student athletes being students first. This school is really good about that. But an example like what you're talking about, I used to teach at a school that was big into wrestling, and those kids would starve themselves to try to make weight, and they would be just like zombies in the classroom. They wouldn't turn in work, and they were just dead to the world.
Another topic among this issue is who takes responsibility for them. Although there usually isn't a specific cause for the issue, there can also be measures taken to work towards fixing this. The universities and schools that these athletes play for should give them access to resources. Current resources provided for athletes include counseling and psychotherapy, but these resources are not nearly effective enough at improving their mental health. Sometimes these resources are not accessible for all athletes, as they may play for a less wealthy program that can't afford to hire therapists and counselors, or the athlete may not be able to visit their counselor during their operating hours while juggling sports and academics.
These mental health issues can also cause athletes to lose the love and passion they once had for their sport. So if you or someone you know is going through this crisis, don't be afraid to reach out.